Feel free over the course of this next hour to move around and trash the room. We're going to go a little bit off what I think has been standard. I'm going to make you guys work, but you're going to work on something that's very personal to you. So if anybody doesn't feel like working, it's okay to go. How many of you are designers? Cool. And how many of you are involved in any kind of social innovation? Double cool. So who, because this is all about communication, who feels confident standing up and telling the group what you do? Come on, okay. Girls first.
Oh, absolutely.
Up there or?
Come on up.
All right, fine.
I'm not used to talking.
I'm a freelance graphic designer. I graduated a few years ago and I've currently been working at my apartment. I do layout design, business cards, I've done some websites. I also tutor to help kind of supplement that. And I do photography and illustration kind of combined with the graphic design.
Okay, so remember what she said, because at the end of the class, we're going to come back and talk about that, okay? Well, then you won't find out.
Okay. Simple talking.
Come on up.
Hello. Good afternoon. So my name is Paris Whittingham. I'm the founder and principal photographer at Paris Whittingham Studio. We're a small team, and we're really dedicated to looking at remarkable love stories and how we can express those stories through photography and film. So storytelling is our medium. Photography and film is how it takes shape. I started when I was in college, so it's awesome for me to be here. And I came to this specific panel because I almost went to PopTech my first year as a college student with Michael, who then started Skillshare, and Scott from Behance. So I've been following PopTech for all of these years, and I finally put a face to the name. How could I not be here?
Cool, welcome. One more person, want to come up and... That's my husband right there. He's not the world's oldest intern. He might be. Lifelong intern. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Taylor. I graduated from FIT and with packaging design background and degree. So I was working for about 4 years in packaging design field, and I dabbled a little bit in product innovation and graphic innovation a bit. So right now I'm doing a little bit of store design and beauty, and all of it is a little bit, the reason I came here was because I'm very interested in social innovation, and I want to take all that and apply it to anything social innovation involved. So,
We had more time today. I'll tell you about a book. There's a man named Joe Navarro who's written a book called What Everybody is Saying, and it's on nonverbal language. And he was an FBI agent for 25 years. He was one of those people that used to interview potential criminals, and just by looking at their face, he would say, that was lying, that's not. But he's written a book on body language, and I noticed some things about all three of you who came up, so get the book, you don't have time for it. So design and social innovation are having a huge impact, profound impact on each other. And you probably know, but what I've been working on for the past couple of years that's going to open in the fall is a new master's program in design for social innovation. What is happening everywhere is that everyone wants more purpose in their life. It's young people like you, rich people want more purpose, they want to give away the money to things that are more meaningful to them, foundations want more purpose. It's sort of this incredible movement happening all over the world that people are beginning to realize that they can act, and that in acting to try to make life better for other people, that it's much more rewarding for them. So that's what social innovation is about, and that's why it's becoming so popular. So when you start out to find your purpose and to act on it. And the first thing, obviously, that everybody thinks they need is an idea. But it's not nearly enough. And then it's true that you need to go and find money, but there's something even more important than that. And technology is sexy and everybody wants to have their own platform and their own website and all that stuff. But the fact of the matter is there's something that makes it possible to get all of these things, and that is communication. Because this is how you get the support you need for what you're doing. And this is a little chart that just talks about the role of communication. And that is, if you have an idea, you can have the most brilliant idea that anybody's ever had. And you can be a visionary. But until you learn how to express that idea and define it in a way that other people see it and hear it and see why it's different, you can't be a leader. So you cannot lead anybody else. You can't inspire anybody else until you can articulate the power of what it is that you want to do. And until you understand how to use that idea to intentionally develop the right relationships, you can't be an entrepreneur. So as you go forward and you want to gather people around you, and an entrepreneur is also, that can mean entrepreneur, that means anybody, if you work inside a company, outside a company, right? Any business, doesn't matter what, is nothing more than a series of relationships, right? With company, people in the company, with employees, with your bosses, with customers, with suppliers. And so all of those relationships are only built on communication. So that's why if you look at the world of quantum mechanics, scientists are finding that it's the relationship between things that actually determines the nature of the things. The relationships are more important. And so this applies to all of life, and it's a way to think about communication. And then last, it's only when you can turn those relationships into people changing their behavior that you really can be a change maker. So for all of you who are interested in social innovation, this is a really key series of steps. And most people think that you need to start out by thinking about how you're going to do it, when in fact, what's most important is who you are. And the reason I started out having people talk about what they're doing is that I'm gonna say, I think you all did a great job. But what you need to think about, and what we're going to think about, is getting to the point of being able to stand up and say to what end, right? What is it you want to do? Not I'm a this and I'm a that and I went here and I went there, right? What's powerful and what's magnetic to say what you're going for and what the end outcome is going to be, right? So we're gonna try, because a lot of you probably know it, but we're going to try just shifting that. And I hope this is going to, sounds on?
Yep.
Sounds on.
Okay. Does anybody know what's happening here?
Penguins are looking for their kids after one time.
That's exactly right. So they're practicing recognizing each other's voices. Because if you are a penguin chick and your parents look exactly like all the other parents on the block, you need to recognize their voice. And if your chick, no matter how special your chick is, looks like all the other chicks. So orphans don't get fed. And so every individual has to develop a distinguished voice. And I use this because I work with a lot of social entrepreneurs, just to remind them that they're so full of their idea, they're so full of what they want to do, but no matter what, they're one of hundreds of thousands of people who are looking for funding and looking to get support and looking to go online and build community and all the other things, right? So the most important thing for you to start with is, how do you develop an identity for yourself that gets you recognized and heard? And not heard just in the rooms of 10 people of your friends, right? Who'll say, God, I love you and that's great, I'm with you. But heard in rooms full of people where you'll never be, right? Heard in other parts of the country. How do you create that message, create that identity, and then make sure that it's consistently conveyed? In the Middle Ages, can we turn off lights? Those are, let's see, right? In the Dark Ages, people did not use last names. And so, that's much better, thank you. And soldiers, when they went to battle, they would get carried along from one town to the next, because the towns didn't have names either. And so, you know, you travel in battle, and then they'd say, I want to get home, I want to get back to the town with a tree next to the stream. And of course, every town had a tree with a stream, and they just ended up staying where they were. So it was a time without much of a sense of self, and also not much knowledge or wisdom. Right? There were hundreds of years during this time when nothing changed. Think about how much changes now, and how much closer. We're not in the Dark Ages anymore, and people have come a long way in terms of creating identities for themselves. So what we're going to work on for about 20 minutes, which is laughable because it can take months to do this, but I want you to have the experience, is you just getting down and writing what it is you want to do and why and how you're unique. But I'm going to show you some examples first because they're sort of common mistakes. This was a guy, a really, really brilliant programmer, technologist. He was a Kauffman postdoc fellow. And my job was to help him develop a way to present to big funders who potentially could give him a lot of money and start using. And Yevgen was his name. He sent this to me, and he was really proud of it. And he said, well, this encapsulates what I do. So who knows what he does?
Ah,
Yeah, right. And I said, because I had to, I don't understand. And he thought I was just an idiot. And he kept talking to me, giving me more detail, right? Well, the algorithms work like this, and this happens, and then that happens, and then that happens. And for 3 days, literally, we sort of went at each other. And I had to understand in order to help him, and he just was so frustrated that I couldn't hear it. And the morning when he had to present, out of total frustration, he said, I guess you could say we teach computers to program. So all of a sudden, all that detail made sense, because he was telling me how many people needed it and what it was. So you think about it, every bit of rote programming of one version of software to the next, right? People have to sit and do it. Think about all the industries, all the people, all the companies. He figured out how to automate that. And that's huge. But nobody got it from what he was saying. So, and the people at Kauffman Foundation said, you know, Yevgen, we've known you for 3 months and we never actually understood what you did. So there's a lesson here, and it's really very often the most obvious thing that you have to tell someone. The thing that you think is so obvious that you shouldn't have to say, right? That creates this bridge and a way for people to connect to it. And once I got that, it was easy for me to understand all the pieces that he'd been trying to tell me. But as long as he was down in the weeds trying to give me enough detail so that I would make it add up to something, I couldn't. And this is a really important lesson because it happens a lot. That you will, or you'll be talking to somebody and you'll ask them what they do and they get right down into the details. And you're lost because you can't follow around. So this is called framing. There's a wonderful book by George Lakoff called Don't Think of an Elephant. He talked about how the Republican Party used language to get people to behave the way they wanted during the last election. This is another example, different kind of little dynamic. This is a company called Seventh Generation. I don't know if you know them. They were one of the first pioneering green companies, and they make soaps and dishwashing detergents, non-detergents. And they really took their mission seriously. seventh generation, the name comes from an Iroquois law, which is that in our every deliberation, we will consider the impact of our decisions on the next 7 generations. Very, very lofty, ambitious, wonderful, wonderful law. And then they added lots of things to that. So they created this mission for themselves, which is to inspire a more conscious and sustainable world by being an authentic force for positive change. And then they gave themselves these global imperatives. Because they were going to provide regenerative and effective product solutions, inspire conscious consumption, create a just and equitable world, restore our environment, and build coalitions that create new possibilities. And I went to talk to a lot of the people that work there, and they said, we make toilet paper. Right? How are we going to get there from here? And nobody knew what to do about it. And what had happened is that they had grown tremendously, and they had all of these Vermonters really committed to the mission. And then they brought in people from Procter & Gamble and some of the other big companies, and they just were butting heads because the new people were saying, you got to, what's going to happen with the quarterly earnings, and the old people are saying we shouldn't be making money, and they were just sort of canceling each other out. And then they kept adding these loftier and loftier things. This was, I thought was funny. So a marketing guy from a big CPG company came in, and he was going to solve it all and simplify it, so this was a map he did. So he was going from the current frameworks to the proposed frameworks. And again, like you have Gen's chart, right? Yeah. And the lesson here is never be afraid to say you don't understand something, because a lot of times it's gibberish. So this is another example of not being so lofty. I meet a lot of people who say, I want to end poverty, or I'm gonna fix the food. And if you know anything about it, it's so complex, right? That it becomes. You become immovable in trying to do it because you haven't defined it in a way that you could actually act on it. So this is an example of how to make something simple and also build into it the behavior that's necessary to make it true. I'm assuming you'll just tell me if I'm not making sense like I did with you, okay? Okay. And then this is the third example, which is sort of a different lesson. This is an amazing young man who was one of our early PopTech fellows. And when he was in school, discovered that mycelium mushrooms made a kind of glue. And what he and his partner have done is to invent a new nature-based technology that can replace plastic, and particularly styrofoam they're working on now, with a material that they grow from mushrooms. And of all the things he could have said, I would have built this, torn that down, he said I would rectify the language and I would make words mean what they're supposed to mean again. Which I find to be so profound, because if you listen to the way we use language, there's no truth in it anymore. Right? Listen to politics speak and corporate speak, and they're just words and they're empty words. So the lesson here is that as you think about how to talk about yourself in any way, and any language that you use everywhere, to the extent that you can ban jargon from your language and ban words that everybody uses to mean something slightly different, if you can find unworn language to use it, I'll give you the slides. Or were you taking my picture?
Your silhouette with the slide.
If you can find words that are your own, right, that resonate. And I tell people, if you want to be inspired before you write, go read Emily Dickinson. Because she will teach you how to use words in a way that just gets right through your head and into your heart. Okay, so we're going to take the next 20 minutes. How many of you know each other? Okay, so please work with somebody that you don't know, because you want a fresh ear. You don't want somebody who's predisposed to think they know all about you. Find somebody you don't know, and just let's take the next 20 minutes, and you're going to think about, what do you do? What's the purpose? To what end, right? What is the outcome that you want? And why are you unique, or why is it unique? How is it different? You're just about ready?
Hi, I'm a fashion designer. I just moved here a month ago from Louisiana, but what I want to do is to create a desire in customers to re-educate customers in the way clothing is produced in an ethical way. Most of the manufacturing that is done right now is unethical, but it's very cheap and you can get it now, and you can get it very quickly. But I want to promote more of a slow. I hate to say the word slowness, but the importance of the work environment and the dignity of the people who are creating clothing. So
what? No. So what did you all get from what she just said?
Ethical fashion.
Educating the customer.
She really cares about this cause.
So to make it a little faster for you, and I think you did great, you could say something like, I'm going to design clothing that changes people's understanding of what ethical fashion is, right? So in that, it's clear that you have to change people's understanding and you have to deliver an ethical line of clothes that people want to buy. But that's great. Who else? Anybody else want to try? Come on. Come on, guys. Come on up. It's nothing. You're very friendly.
Hi, I'm Sarah. Well, I'm here today because I don't do anything yet. I'm in high school. I'm a senior. And I'm deciding between being a graphic designer and going to some theater technology things. I don't know really why I'm here. I'm just kind of weighing more options.
Are you going to go to college?
Yes. Next fall, I'm going to go to community college to study graphic design and theater. And I'm just going there to save money.
So there's a new discipline emerging, which is performance art for social innovation and activism, and really, really interesting things happening. There's a group of people called Sojourn who just figured out this dance and a game to help people in communities contribute to a vision of what their housing should be like. So I don't think you have to choose between graphic design and dance.
Theater.
I'm sorry, theater, performance art, yes. Great.
What, no, that was theater technology.
Like the tech of theater, sound, land.
But still, it's all connected to one thing. So, who's got advice for her?
I was blown away.
She's in high school.
Well, more than that, like to be so, because I remember when I was first starting, like as a photographer professionally, I did everything I could to lie about my age and to get the conversation away from how young and inexperienced I felt. So that was the last thing I'd ever tell you if we were talking about me and work. And it was like the first thing you told me, whoa, you know, and you just put it out there. And I found that really courageous and inspiring.
It is. Great. So I thought we had till 5 o'clock. We actually have 5 minutes left. And I have other slides on how to go about doing that. But I think it'd be better if one more person wanted to take a stab at this. Because I can get you these slides if you want, and I can can give me some articles.
Hi, I'm Audra. I guess the best way to describe kind of where I am at the moment is kind of torn between trying to find a job that will make me happy and finding a job that will make me money, because as you know, New York City is very expensive. My trade is TV, radio, and film. I edit, I can produce. I work currently at ABC, but I'm moving into more digital. I'm working for a company that creates content for YouTube. But Jenny and I were talking and we discovered we had a lot in common about wanting to travel and wanting to meet people. So I guess that's my passion, but it's difficult when you also need to meet people. You can't just jump into it right away. So part of it all is, I guess, personal fulfillment. I think we all want that, but also to kind of make someone else's life better too. So maybe something, maybe an NPO, but I'm not quite sure.
So,
Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, that was great. Anybody wanna?
What about contacting all the cruise companies? And
All
all the cruise companies.
Do they need help right now, don't they?
Yeah, they do. So imagine if you got to travel and do videos while on the cruise to inspire people to pay for the cruises and tell a story in that way. I mean, you know how to do the production part. Wouldn't that be, creating what you want?
There you go. So a couple of things. One is, because you're all so young, it's really important to keep in mind that making yourself happy is essential to helping anybody else, right? You cannot sustain a life of doing things for other people if it's not feeding you. And so don't be the least bit guilty about spending time thinking about what's going to make you happy. Because you can always use that to benefit someone else. But if you're doing something because you think you should, or it's trendy or whatever it is, and it's not making you happy, you won't be able to keep it up, and you won't be great at it. So don't feel guilty about that. The other thing that we talked about, because you're all on the edge of figuring out how to do what you want to do. This process is necessary in order to just start to develop a vision for yourself of what you want your life to be like. So take that first question and just spend time thinking about what are the elements you want in your life. Like you want to travel and you want to, you said you want to play, you want to travel, you want to meet people.
Don't like work.
And she doesn't like work. But that's okay.
But I don't want to win the lottery or marry a rich guy either.
Okay. There's nothing, see, what I love about that is the fact that you're clear about that.